the people from Jarritos need to give me all. You need to sponsor the channel. We like your product. It's a good man for us. It's a good combination. Tonight I want to talk about a couple things. First of all, later on, as I did earlier today, we're going to be giving away a shirt in honor of 300,000 subscriptions. Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you guys very much. I'm going to give away a wrong cam shirt. I've got blue and I've got red. You got a couple of different sizes. These ones are every time I throw them down here, they're getting more wrinkled and more wrinkled. But we're gonna do a little thing later, a little bit later tonight. What we'll do is we'll all be choosing a number, and whoever gets the number, those are the guys that are gonna win, or that guy is gonna win, or a girl. There could be girls here too. Frosty beverage. But so we got to, and I'll talk about that again when more people get here. But one of the things we want to talk about tonight also are valve springs. So valve springs are very important because they're part of like the camshaft upgrade, and they're often forgot about it because just like things that, you know, when guys start talking about, hey, look, I want to put a turbo in my car, they're like, okay. and you know, that's why I want people to come to this channel, because I want guys that don't know anything and that want to come and learn stuff. Because that's what it is. It's not, you don't go to a place and like I go through this a lot with a lot of my videos. They're like, oh, this is too obvious. Everybody knows this. I'm like, I know. Well, everybody doesn't know that. Whatever thing I talked about, single planes or dual planes or turbos or blowers or nitrous or whatever we're talking about, everybody doesn't know that. That guy that commented knows that, but lots and lots of people out there don't know that. So the video obviously was not targeted at that person. It was targeted at people that don't know that. So we want people like that to come. And those are the people that we do the videos for, that I do the videos for. If you already know the thing that I'm telling you, then good on you. Then you can watch other videos where we do things that you might not know about, or you can watch other channels where maybe it's a different group of things. Like I go to other channels, obviously, to learn all kinds of stuff. I like learning. And the problem is there's not enough time. There's not enough time for me to go into the depth that I want to go to learn all the things that I want to learn about. And the other thing I've realized is that I'm not retaining it nearly as much as I want to. There are lots of names, and especially times and dates and civilizations and people that are associated with it and the people that discovered it and all of these things that I'm going down that I find very, very interesting. I don't remember those people, and I should. I can tell you cam specs. For some reason, math, I remember that stuff, and I remember things like that, but I don't know. But these other things that I'm trying to learn, maybe I need to open up another sub file or something to get that stuff in there and compartmentalize it and be able to access it. I'm working on it. So if anybody has any suggestions for how to do that, please let me know. But like I said, okay, now that more people are here, we're going to do another shirt giveaway tonight. So I got some t-shirts. We're going to do, I like how the camera adjusts when we do that. So I got some t-shirts. We're going to give one away just like I did earlier today on the previous live feed. You guys are going to be picking a number, and then you guys are going to be guessing a number basically. And then what we'll do is the winner of whoever picks the number correctly, that's the person that's going to win the shirt. I don't know of any more fair way to do that. And I'm just trying to say thanks for all the people that help support the channel. 300,000 is a big number. I'm excited about that. I get lots of people that comment, and that's awesome that they do that. Hey, this should have way more. That would be awesome. Maybe we'll get to 1 million one day, and that's all good too. But I'm not looking like, oh, we're not nearly high enough. I'm looking like this is awesome, and this has turned out way better than I thought it was going to. I fought going onto YouTube forever. People many, many years ago told me you need to do YouTube. And I told them, no, that's just a passing fad. That will never catch on. I also told Brian Tooley that he shouldn't go into business. So obviously listening to me is not the best thing you could do. But if you're going to listen to one thing, every cam is a turbo cam. I got my Bigfoot shirt on. This is from my wife. She recently took a trip and saw this probably at the airport or something. But she knows me. So she's like, oh, he's definitely going to love that. And I do. And it's awesome. I'm hoping to one day to see one or a family or something of them. That would be awesome. And I could walk up and high five them and ask them if they watch the channel, if they're subscribed, so they can like, share, subscribe. and ring the bell as a Bigfoot. That would be awesome. Make it come on the live feed. All of that would be good. But tonight, the tech subject for tonight is springs. And the reason that I want to talk about that is obviously I have, as you know, I got cams for sale. I've got two different ones, the low buck truck cam and the truck plus camshaft. And the thing that differentiates those two cams, and then this is the same for any cam, so it'd be a Truck Norris or whatever, Truck Norris versus a hot rod cam, or an NSR cam versus a standard Truck Norris cam. You know, shout out to the guys at Brian Tooley and Airflow Research and stuff for supporting the channel. That's all awesome stuff. I love those guys for it. But one of the considerations when choosing a camshaft, so we'll pick these two. We'll pick the ones that I have. So we have the low buck truck, and then we have the truck plus. By the way, neither one of them is a truck cam. I mean, they work really well in trucks because they offer low speed power, but the truck plus adds more peak power. So then the question becomes for most people is like, which one makes the most power? Well, the bigger cam does. One of them is 212, one of them is 219. And like I said, Richard's rule of thumb, if one intake duration is bigger than the other intake duration, yeah, more times than not, like 90%, that camshaft is going to make more power. And it does. In this case, it does exactly that. But the thing is, what they want and that they don't get is that the bigger camshaft, also, there's a trade-off for that. Yeah, it does make 15 or 18 horsepower more or whatever at the top, depending on what combination you're using it on. But they also want all the low-speed power of the smaller cam. Well, does it trade power? Yes, it trades power. That's how big cams work. That at some point, they're going to make less power, and particularly than this low buck truck, because the valve events on that are pretty spot on for making a really good average power production. So it's hard to beat. But you know, the bigger cam does make more peak power, but it only makes more power from about 5,000 on up. So you need to decide. That's why I'm saying it's a low buck truck, and so for 5,000 and below, it does really well, and it does well compared to the bigger cam. But it also does well if you don't compare it to anything. I mean, you can still rev the low buck truck cam. You can still rev it at 6,500 without any problem at all. In fact, you could rev it higher than that if you wanted. If you wanted to put a manifold on there that would allow you to make power out higher. But the other thing that happens is even if you have a truck manifold on it, particularly if you have a fast manifold on it, but even if you have a truck manifold on it, it will go up and make its peak power, like let's say at 6,000 or 6,100 or something. But then it just carries that number out really far. So if you want to rev it, you're all about revving your LS, it will allow you to do that. It's just that the power curve gets kind of flat, whereas the bigger cam, the 219 cam, still has power climbing up there at the top, and so it makes more peak power. But the other thing that happens when you choose these cams, and this is another reason besides the fact that, hey, I want it to work in a given power curve. Frosty cold beverage. Besides choosing that, one of the other considerations is valve springs, and that's why I put the thumbnail up that you see up there today. Valve springs are very important with when you're choosing. If you choose the low buck truck camshaft, and for a lot of guys that are on a budget like all of us, if you choose that camshaft, you can use inexpensive springs with that. On some applications, you can just use stock springs. So if you have a 550 lift spring that came in a lot of factory applications, came in a lot of the 243 headed stuff, a lot of the 799 headed stuff, a lot of the rec port headed stuff, anything where you had a 550 lift spring, you can use those factory springs. You just can't use the 500 lift stuff from some of the other 6-liter heads and the 4.8s and the 5.3 stuff. So you can't use those. But what you can use also, in addition to the 550 lift stock springs, or any set of used sort of LS6 or LS3 or LY6 spring, Brian Tooley Racing has, and this is going to be our thumbnail, Brian Tooley Racing has inexpensive springs for that kind of lift camshaft for $79. So you got an inexpensive cam. The cams that I have are $179 shipped right now. The price is going to go up. So if you're going to get one right away. But you also have a cheap spring, either a stock one, which you can buy stock replacement ones really cheap from lots of people, or that $79 spring from BTR. Other guys have it. Summit probably has it. There are other guys that probably carry that kind of spring. So that's a pretty cheap date for that sort of thing, for a cam and spring upgrade. And you have to put a spring upgrade on it unless you have had a cylinder head that had those springs, or you had those springs lying around, which lots of guys do. And in fact, we had a few of them at West Tech because we had done spring upgrades on stuff and on some LS3 crate motors and those kinds of things. We took those springs off, and on the, I remember particularly on the LS3 crate motor, they were brand new because it was a crate motor, and we immediately put a camshaft in it. So we're like, well, let's just change the springs because we know we're going to be putting, 30 or 40 camshafts in this thing. So let's just change them. And then we took them out. They probably had, I don't know, 6 or 8 dyno pulls on them, plus whatever happened with that crate motor when it was going down the assembly line, because I'm sure they run them all maybe on natural gas or something like that. So they were almost brand new. And so lots of guys have those laying around. So you can get cheap springs for the low buck truck camshaft. If you jump up to the Truck Plus camshaft that is 585 lift, the problem becomes you can't use those inexpensive springs. Not that there might not be a 600 lift spring like a 26918 from the guys at Comp, or something similar in a pack spring or something like that. There are probably some inexpensive things around, but nothing that's going to be like that $79 spring from BTR or factory LS6, LS3, LY6 kind of springs. So not only if you put a dual spring on it, even more so. So you're looking at, the 179 for the cam is still a good deal for the Truck Plus cam, but then you're looking at like a $200 spring. So the spring is going to be more than twice the amount of money for the bigger cam. The cam price is the same, so you can get either one of them. But you're going to have to step up to more camshafts. You're going to need something. You're going to need a 600 lift cam or a set of 600 lift springs to go with that 585 lift camshaft. So when you're thinking about stepping up, it's not just, hey, what is the power curve, which is you need to be concerned with. So pick the camshaft that gives you the power curve that you want. But also, you're going to have to do a spring upgrade. But one of the spring upgrades costs, a lot more than the other one. So again, something to think about. Frosty cold beverage. Okay, so the poll for tonight will be, should I offer a cam and springs combo upgrade rather than just the camshaft? Should I have springs available too? So let's see what that poll has to say. I'll go ahead and answer some questions, and then we'll get right to our t-shirt giveaway, right? Eric Layton, what's going on? What's all this now? Cam and springs. I'll take a double XL. I'm currently getting parts together for a one-piece rear main seal, small block Chevy with a roller cam build. So a one-piece rear main, other than a very few years that may have come with one and then not the other, but a lot of those later ones are going to be a factory hydraulic roller cam, right? Richard just picked up your book, Let the 402 Build Begin. Very cool. Which book did you get? I have a couple of LS ones. Richard says a new shirt, the side end of the scope. No, you don't shoot Sasquatch, man. You go talk to him. You hang out with them. See what's up. Random question. So I'm in the middle of a head gasket replacement on my 5.3. What are the galleys for the coolant to flow between the heads and the block restricted by the gasket? Why are the galleys for the coolant to flow between the head and the block restricted? Because you actually want to restrict some of the flow there. You're trying to keep them in contact with the block for cooling. Trust me, the factory knows what they're doing for head gaskets. Wouldn't you think about more flow would mean more cool? Nope. It's got to stay in contact for long enough. They're also trying to build pressure. I've learned so much since I started watching you. I really like watching. I was supposed to go to UTI back in 1990. I want to graduate high school, but got married instead. That's a good choice. Tim, you're already guessing 17. I can almost guarantee you that that's not the number. Good timing. Just came in from figuring out how to wire my trailer brakes on the Land Cruiser. Very cool. Not just from you. Dan is freaking brilliant. Yeah, Dan's a sharp guy. Those are cool. You deserve all the recognition. Thank you very much. 11% of people believe Hillary is good and truthful. 14% of people believe in Bigfoot. Wow, like throwing shots at Hillary. Vortec heads with the 235, 241 at 50 and a 108, a 550 lift. Yeah, you're gonna have to do some. You're gonna have to do some machine work to Vortec heads for 550 lift, but and that's a big camshaft. Where can I find your email? Need to show you some HHO systems so you can test some. That's the hydrogen stuff. I'll put my email down. I would like to look at it. That's kind of cool. I don't think I'll test hydrogen, but it is cool. I know that one of the a couple of viewers, and I wish that they would come get them because I don't know if I'm ever going to run them, but I have two 4-liter Barra engines, and one of them had the not a hydrogen, but the, I think it's liquid propane, had that conversion on it. Any LSV12 content coming soon? Yes, I've been constantly in contact with the guys from Bride to Racing, which is where the engine is, and I need to go back and do that test. Watching videos, and also so you guys know, the mystery engine was shipped, and we have it. I had to buy it. I had to step up and buy it. It was a lot of money. I've been watching videos. 09 2500, 6-liter LY6. Now figuring twin turbos on a stock engine. 1700,000 for towing for low boost. Okay, that'll be good. That'll work. You're definitely gonna have to do some tuning on it, and the variable cam timing should help with boost response if you size the turbos appropriately. Any J series? Yeah, I want to do some more J series stuff with my buddy Jimmy, who has it in the NSX. I like your shirt. I was working on my car during your first live today. I'm still working on it. I can't tell you how many times I've referenced your articles trying to understand how the internal combustion process works. Yeah, there's a lot of good channels on there. Engineering Explained, I really like what they're doing. I wish I had the ability. What I need is somebody to help me with graphics and things like that. I wish I had somebody that knew about YouTube and stuff, because I'm not that guy. Beatstrop Technology has ones that are opened up. Yeah, I don't recommend modifying the head gasket. You don't need to do that. That's not an issue of concern. I like the other guys' videos. I do too, and I have quite a few other guys' motors, including this mystery motor. I have quite a few other guys' motors that I still need to run. A 346 pack. I have one up on that, but it wasn't my motor. It was one that a guy was running at West Tech. But I have the Pontiac stuff coming up. It's $79 for a set of springs for the it's all single beehive stuff, but they work really good. How often are you above 5,000, 5,500 in a truck anyway? That's the thing. You're not. I mean, that's why in the low buck truck is really a better application for that. I would like to get my 2006 Jeep Liberty 3.7 liter V6. Now I've gone too far. I've gone too far. Built with a 3/4 race cam. Can we get some thumbs up? Yeah, come on. We got like 100 people here. We need one more person to sign in so we get to 100. We're at 99. So one more person out there in YouTube land. Somebody else sign in. If you can get 600 lifts for $150, okay, that'd be cool. Great power for under $300. The topic of springs. Going with BTR Trek Norris cam. That's a good choice. Is there an OEM option for $799 heads that would be suggested for occasional 6,500 RPM pulls, or any options recommended? Yeah, the factory $799, or I should say the factory LS6, LS3 springs will go to 7,500. They're a 550 lift spring, and they'll work on that Trek Norris cam. You can buy unicorns and crosshairs. I wouldn't shoot at a unicorn either. I know who ruined that poll. I definitely wouldn't shoot at Bigfoot unless it was, if it was him or me. Then obviously we got something to talk about. We might have to wrestle around and put him in a headlock, rub his belly or whatever to make him go to sleep. Whatever we got to do, we got to make that happen. But Zana of Georgia is a Sasquatch. Yeah, they have them in different areas in the country. I think when my wife She went to like Colorado or something, which surprised me because I didn't think that. I thought primarily Sasquatch, Bigfoots are like Pacific Northwest things, but they have them in lots of places, like swamp creatures and Yetis, and I guess Nepal or somewhere maybe. I accidentally clicked no. How to build an LS Gen 4. So same as a Gen 3, same as any of the LSs. We know darn well we don't even want to see it. Is it a big deal if the springs are overrated, like a 550 lift spring? 550 lift cam with springs rated for 600 or 625. It's not a huge deal, but I don't recommend it unless you plan on later on going to a bigger camshaft. You want to keep, ideally, according to the spring and cam experts, you want to keep the springs, you want to keep the spring like around 30 thousandths from coil bind. So if you put a 660 lift spring and a 550 lift cam, you're like 100 from coil bind. And what it does is allows the spring to like move around and oscillate in a kind of a weird frequency, and it's not optimum. You might not see any difference for a 6,000 or 6,500 RPM kind of thing, but ideally you don't want to give the spring that much room to move around. Hydrogen paste is supposed to be the future fuel. That would be cool. You could make a G4 engine from a G3 block using a 58 tooth reluctor and knock sensor relocation to the lower part of the block. Yeah, the knock sensor thing is not that much of an issue. The one thing that you have to do is if you have a Gen 3 block, you're going to have to move the cam sensor because on the, well, no, you don't have to, right? No, it'd be going the other way because the Gen 4 block doesn't have a provision for a rear cam sensor. So either way, you're going to put a if you have a 58X, you're probably going to put a 4X crank trigger on it. And so you're going to have to do that on the front with the timing gear and the front covers and a new sensor. Any hints for the mystery engine? Yes, it is an internal combustion engine. Richard, I mentioned earlier about checking your AC clutch by tapping on it. You can check the air gap between the pulley and the clutch face. It should be 18 to 28. Okay. Andy, I didn't even do that. I started to go out there and start my truck and then got sidetracked on something. And then the whole day is gone after that. Then I forget. What are the specs on the Truck Plus cam? It is a 219, 225 at 50 and a 111. Liquid propane or natural gas. They made both bearers. I don't remember which one it was now. More than about 30 thousandths gap, and the magnetic coil can't pull the clutch in to engage. It won't move it that far. Do you have any Jeep inline 6-cylinder videos? I don't, although I've seen lots of those at the wrecking yards, and I kind of would like to do one of those. So the HHO system works with distilled water, table salt, and a magnet. That sounds very MacGyverish. Would like to see a so we got 2 more minutes, and then I'm trying to get down to the bottom of the thing so that we can start doing the t-shirt giveaway. I'd like to see a cam versus horsepower range. Say a 210 duration cam will make X amount of horsepower, and a 230 cam will make X amount of horsepower. Well, if you take a look at the video that I did where I ran a 224 cam, a 227 cam, and a 231 cam, that will give you an idea. We didn't go down to 210, but it'll give you an idea. And also, anything that we run that test on will also dictate the power, because the intake manifold dictates like the effective operating range. I would say even more so than the camshaft. So we can skew that a lot by changing to a short runner intake manifold. Have you ever built a 454 peanut port engine? Yes. With stock pistons, any issues with piston to valve? Yes, you can put enough camshaft in it if you have a stock piston where you'll run out of piston to valve clearance if you try to put too much camshaft in it. It wasn't a concern. I just didn't know if you had done anything with it. Oh, is that on the Jeep motor? Would have taken a fresh razor blade to that gasket blockage. Yeah, if you take a motor apart and you take the head gasket off, and the holes are filled up with stuff, you should flush the block out, or at the very least, I go and remove all that stuff, and then you've seen some of the videos where I've done where I did this on an old small block, where we stick an air nozzle in there and spray it out, and just like you have to stand off to the side because it's not safe. Just like a whole mist of like rust comes out of there. So we clean that stuff out when I put a new head gasket on to make sure that you good flow. But ultimately, if the gasket has a smaller hole than the flow hole on the head or the block, it's going to determine what the flow rate is. Just sell NSR cams. You don't have to sell springs. Yeah. Oddly enough, Brian Tooley Racing sells NSR versions of their Truck Norris cam and regular versions of the Truck Norris cam, and they sell way more regular versions of the Truck Norris cam than they do NSR ones. And there's not really that much difference in power between the two. There was about 6 horsepower or something like that. It was not very much. I saw you type. Don't see email in the comments. Yeah, my email appears. I've already seen it. It says right by my name, Richard Holdner. Then it has my email address. I'm here. Was the guy who mailed you about the 98 millimeter turbo setup from Australia? Oh, cool. That's a big enough turbo to make lots of power. Did you ever do the Big Bang 3800? No, and not on the 4200 either. Australia's in the house. The only part on a Liberty is an 8.2 rear with disc brakes. Just taking DD course for insurance so I can get emissions and tags on my 2007 Bowtie Classic. Is that Dungeons and Dragons? Georgia is in Russia? Who said that? Do we have somebody from Russia here? Because that would be awesome. I just watched, I was watching part of the, I know that this is TV, but still, this is how I want Moscow to be. I was watching one of the Die Hard movies where he was in Moscow, and he was in a cab, and the cab driver was a Russian guy, and he was started singing Frank Sinatra to him. I thought, this is perfect. This makes me want to go to Russia. Who makes a non-insulating flat black paint legal in California? I don't know. I don't know that I've ever looked for that specifically. Jay, thank you very much. Building a Gen 453. About to order a cam kit. 660 lift springs. Work with a hot rod cam. 613, 607. Pretty new to this ISBTR because they've been out of 630 lift springs. I was going to say, I would get the smaller springs, but the other springs will work. What you can do, well, I don't think you want to shim them either. You're going to be worried about the amount of seat pressure that they would have. I don't know. Yeah, you can run those, I guess. I mean, you're not really racing it around. It's not a Sterling engine? No, I don't think it's that. 553 lift cam, 416 stroker. Should I use stock push rods if the length is correct? You can. I mean, it sounds like you're not going to be revving it very high. I don't know what the lift of the cam tells me nothing really, but I would want to know what the duration is and how high you're going to rev it. Mystery engine can run in a hard vacuum. An Oldsmobile 350. Although that would be good. That's very other guys, right? Would you run a V6 tensioner on a Magnum? I didn't even know that those interchanged, so I would be the wrong guy to ask about that. What happened to the Pontiac 4-cylinder? I still have that. It's all back together and ready to run. I just haven't run it yet. That's not the mystery motor, though. But that is a good one to run, and I'm going to. What cam and springs do you recommend for an LQ9 402 twin turbo build using 317 heads? What is the power level that you're looking for, and what is the application? I mean, what are you using? Drag? Or is it drag racing? What are you doing with it? So today I Frankenstein 2 transmissions together. Nice. I just joined. I like the Yeti t-shirt. See, that's right. The Yeti brings all the boys to the yard. What's your safe number on piston to valve on the intake side? We've run it as tight as 3,000s. I don't recommend it, but 30 or 40 I'm pretty good with. A lot of guys want 70 or something like that. Anything important polish on a set of PSI 8.8 heads really do? Really not trying and don't want to spend $4,000 from Raylar. I'm told that the 8.8 heads are better anyway. And I'm supposed to test a set of those from a guy that's local here. And I hope that I get to. We'll see. I don't think I have enough motor to take advantage of what ported heads would be anyways. It is the 4th I heard. That's right. On my Silverado, I just hit the junkyard picked up a handful of AC clutch plates, a little spacer behind them, got it working. So are you able to take the front of that off then without any problem? I don't think I've disassembled an AC compressor. Has my load buck truck cam and wrong cam order come in from PayPal yet? Mike, what's your last name? Paint for heat transfer. D&D is Dungeons & Dragons defensive drivers. I know, that's what made it so funny. You know, Gail Banks for teachers, I'd attend every one of your classes. If Gail Banks and I were in the class teaching something, he would be the one that would be teaching. I wouldn't be able to get in a word. There's no way. 216, 230, maximum RPM, 6,200. Did you ever test a truck Norris cam on a 6-liter? I tested my camshaft, which is essentially going to do the same thing. So if you want to look at that video, it's up already. I don't know what your thoughts are. I'm going to call Cloy's or Mellings on the tensioner Monday. Cloy's chain is really loose. You want a new one? Okay. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do the shirt giveaway now. So we're over 100. See, this is perfect timing. So we're gonna do a t-shirt giveaway. So we got one of these in blue or red. I got various sizes. I'm actually running out of sizes. They've been fairly popular. I've been selling a lot of them with cams and stuff, which is good. I got to get my there we go. Now we're back. Okay. So since we have what happened? We had 101 people here. Now we only have 95. Okay. So everybody pick a number between 1 and 100. I'm going to write a number down here. Thinking something weird. Okay, I've got a number written down. Get rid of all these previous ones. Everyone guess. Boom, all the numbers are coming. And we're back up to 100. I like it. I'm loving it. I'm digging it. Get those numbers up. Free t-shirt in the house. Joe Boo needs a refill. Mystery Engine is the prototype GM V5 diesel from 1982. That's really esoteric. I like it, though. That's awesome. I like when weirdness comes in. Turbo 408 stroker or NA-LS3, which would benefit more from your 219 cam? Well, the 219 cam would be better than a stock cam on either one of those. Personally, if I was doing an NA-LS3, I might, unless it was a daily driver, I might put more camshaft than that in it. The 219 cam would definitely work on a turbo 408 stroker if you're looking for 1,000 horsepower. You could do way more than 1,000 horsepower if you wanted, but going to be drag and drive build pushing 1,200 horsepower. Okay, Jared, I need to go back and look. What cam spring would you recommend for an LQ402 twin turbo build 317 heads? 1,200 horsepower. The low buck truck or the truck plus cam that I have, the 219 cam, would certainly easily make that power if you have enough turbo to do that. If you look at the Big Bang motor, the one that we did 1,500 on, we used a twin turbo stage 3 cam. But I don't know what else you have if it's a drag race deal. If you've got a 2-step on it, if you got a converter or whatever, a stage 3 cam is probably bigger than I might go, maybe a stage 2 or something. So if you're doing an NA motor like this Truck Plus, or maybe a Maybe like the hot rod cam from BTR. Mike, your guess is 77, and you already put your size in. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, 77 is not the answer. That was the answer last time. Mystery engine is, it's a prototype. Lots of 77s. We're not going to pick the same number. You should do a Mopar 3.6, cheap and plentiful. Joe who needs a chicken. That's right. You give him a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. I like Jesus. Help me with curveball. You say it. Jesus Christ, can't hit a curveball. Oh, I love that. My wife just shakes her head every time it comes on. I got to watch it. I've known Gail Banks since he was in San Gabriel. We're doing VW Corvair and F84 Olds turbos. Yeah, Gail is I still have books with Gail stuff in it. Yeah, he's definitely the guy. For Gen 3 5.3 liter 4L60 NA S10, the truck cam have better drivability than the BTR hot rod cam. It's going to be a daily driver. For a daily driver, I wouldn't pick a hot rod cam. BTR makes great stuff, but for me, I think that cam's too big for a daily driver. For a 4L60, does it have a converter in it? If you want to stay with the BTR cam, I'd put a Truck Norris in it. If you want to put one of my cams in it, I'd put a low buck truck in it. If you are going to put a bigger converter in it, but if it's a daily driver, that sort of Truck Norris or low buck truck camshaft is usually my go-to thing. Jack, let's see what number you picked. I don't even really see your name up here. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you didn't win. Just saying. But I do have 3X shirts that you can order. At what spring pressure should you consider aftermarket rockers? I don't think that that's an issue with LS stuff because you're not going to put enough spring pressure on it for that to be an issue. You don't need a lot of spring pressure for LS stuff. Maybe if you were going with a solid lifter camshaft and a shaft rocker setup or something. And even then, I would think about doing that more for, for guide wear and that kind of stuff, not necessarily for it hurting the rocker. They've got stock rocker stuff going 8,500 or 9,000, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. Well, I'm wondering now, got me thinking, is Brian Tooley races Truck Norris a good or decent cam for towing? Yes, it is. It's a really good choice for a towing. How does your low buck truck compare to the Truck Norris? Do you have a package with push rods and springs? I don't have push rods and I don't have springs. BTR has their $79 springs. The cams would make equivalent power. Mine's just $179 and the Truck Norris is more than that. Biggest converter will be 2,500. Was on the Truck Norris. Yeah, that's a good choice. Tips and tricks to get a laggy turbo to spool, not including nitrous. Thinking fuel, timing, stock bottom end, precision 75 millimeter, decent heads, and a stage 2 turbo cam. The first thing that you should do is not pick a stage 2 turbo cam if you want to spool. You should pick a smaller camshaft than that. As for the 219 cam and a 408 or LS3, the turbo 408 is for my drag race C4, and the NA is for daily driver 6. So then, yeah, like I said, if it's a daily driver, that 219 cam is probably pretty good. If the turbo is for a drag race deal, then I would put more camshaft in it, especially if you're combining that with more stall speed and that stuff. Just listening to the live feed has me thinking whether the choice would be good or not for towing. HX30 GT2860 on a stock 225 slant 6. Plan to keep the res below 4,500 in full size van with a manual. Those would be good. Those would be good cams for that. I mean, good turbos for that size motor. The slant 6 is not going to take a lot of boost, and it's not going to rev, so that will be fine. And a draw through, also awesome. So I'll give you guys the winner. Let's see if I'm going to scroll back here and see if I saw a winner. Scrolling. scrolling. Looney Bird, yours is $100. You know you can buy shirts for a lot less than that. I'd buy that for $1. Okay, we do have one person that has guessed the correct amount. Lots of people here since you're giving shirts away. I know. See, that's what happens. You do giveaways, and I didn't even announce the giveaways on Facebook or Instagram either. I bet if I did that, there would be a bunch of people. But what happens is there's a lot of people that come, and then they don't have the patience, and then they just leave, especially if I have it toward the end. Is 5.3 piston slot pretty normal? Yes. Mine's got 350,000 on it, and it's noisy in the morning. Do you know if you gain 20 thousandths between light test springs and actual springs when checking? Why are you gaining 20 thousandths between test springs? Are you talking about that the higher spring pressure is holding the valve closed tighter or something? Who would win in a boxing match? Brian's my buddy. I'm not going to box him. Watched a 106 millimeter turbo on 4-cylinder today. Think it's too big? No, not if it's a guy trying to make 13 or 1400 horsepower. Can't wait to see one of those modern dual cam V6s get big banged, or even an old inline six. I'm excited about the 3800. Try to pick up a 94 F-150 with a 5-speed, 4.9. 94. So that's still a 302 then. Aaron, you got the other cam. Good. The Gen 4 6-liter, if you had a stuck lifter from the AFM, would you do the delete and put it back together, or buy an entire kit? Yeah, I think you should do a delete. You're not going to use AFM, right? Yeah, I was going to ask about Ancient Ruin said it was a compound kit, probably on that 96 millimeter turbo or whatever size for the 4-cylinder. That would make sense that it was. And the LFX would be interesting on the dyno. Michael, yeah, that's right. You have a shirt already. That's what I saw on Rear Morrison's site. Just wanted to know if you've seen that. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see if it actually changes piston to valve. Do you have a 3X? I have blue, light blue and red in a 3X. Well, those are the only colors I have in any size. Would you recommend the Truck Norris cam for a stock 4.8 liter LS1? I don't know what the LS1 is. Is the LS1 the intake manifold that you have? Because a 4.8 liter is not an LS1. That's a 5.7. But that's a good cam. I also have one that's $179, so it's less money than that, but that's a good cam. I've got 3 LSs with 230,000 miles with piston slap. One has had piston slap for 70,000 miles. It's normal. Yeah, mine, I've been driving it forever like that. Do you think valve flow at 4,600 in my F-150 is because of 330,000 miles, or is that super aggressive stock truck cam? I'd like to, I meant to ask Mark if the truck cam is different than the HO cam. I think that it is. I think it'd be milder, although we have run across some stock cams that, because they're low lift, have had some pretty aggressive ramp rates, and they actually had caused valve float before some of the aftermarket cams that we put in. And so it was an interesting deal. So I don't know specifically about that one, but and mileage will tend to wear the springs, but we don't see that low of a valve float. I've never seen valve float at 4,600. The Ford 6 works good with a turbo. Working on my kid's 463 valve. Found some metal. At first I thought it realized that it was bad. what would be the best things we can do for best horsepower gains for street use? 3L is really good. Tuning helps, headers help, cams help, ported heads help, but boost probably helps the best. Have you seen a 4-cylinder Honda motor with an LS head? A 4-cylinder Honda motor with an LS head would be a step down, because a stock LS head is not going to flow what a Honda head does, unless you went to an LS3 or something. But they're completely different bore spacing. So maybe you're talking about the 4-cylinder Blueprint motor that they did that was not really a running motor, that was just a mock-up. And if that's the 350 horsepower motor that you're talking about, it's a 4-cylinder that they just set a head on. So it's never run. I threw out all my t-shirts and anticipated of winning, and now I'm naked. Uh-oh. Toss in a red XXL in my order. I'll make it good. Mike, I think yours already shipped, actually. Mystery Engine is a 366 big block tall deck. That would be cool, right? Yes, 94 up 5-liter is different than the HO cam. Okay. Is the non-HO deal in the truck? Is it even a different firing order than the HO is? It's not. Is the truck one not the 1372? Is the Comp Cam 260AH the best shelf cam for a 4.6? I don't know what you mean by best. There are bigger ones that make more peak power. There are smaller ones that make more low speed power. And I don't know how fit it's going to be if you have a stock bottom end 4.6. A 270 is definitely going to lose power down low. Thanks for answering my questions. Happy to help. How much boost do you think a stock LS3 intake can handle before things get sketchy? I think you have to worry much more about the motor, about the block, than you do the intake manifold. We've run 28 pounds on stock intake manifolds. So it's not going to be an issue with the intake manifold. It's going to be an issue with the block and stuff. Just had plug wires and rocker arms replaced. My BTR Stage 3 LQ9 now feels like it has less power. That's what happens when you do changes to it, right? That sounds like a 4-cylinder BP motor. Also, the 350 was under boost. It was what they were saying, and they just had it on a plaque. Like I said, it was just vaporware. It was just, they had some arbitrary number of 350 horsepower and 500 foot-pounds of torque or whatever. I'm like, how did you get those two things? Where's the math where you're calculating that? Not that can't happen with a falling boost curve or whatever. 3-valve is a bad oil pump. I'm sorry to hear that. On the 3-valve, think about a blower from Kenny Bell. Boost definitely is beneficial. We ran a Kenny Bell on the 3-valve stuff. We also ran turbo. We also ran nitrous. We also ran a Vortec on it. 351 firing order for the 94 truck. Blueprint does even make the 3.64 cylinder. It is Origins block. It's a industrial motor and a marine motor is what they made that motor out of. But they like I said, it never ran with an LS head on it though. We built a flat top 032 quench 351 2V 4-barrel intake. The 214 228. It was too much motor for a 67 Fairlane. Why would it be too much motor? And where did you find a 2V 4-barrel intake manifold? What intake manifold was that? So torn on cam choice now that here you don't recommend daily driving a hot rod cam. Well, driving 2 or 3 times a week anyway. The hot rod cam is the next step up from the truck Norris cam. So I have tests with it and it works good. It just loses power through a lot of the curve compared to the truck Norris cam. So that video is up. In fact, the video that I'm working on is basically all of the BTR cams. So it's a stock cam, the truck Norris cam, the hot rod cam, the red hot cam, and you can kind of see how they all do. Is a 351 Cleveland going to make more power than an LS motor? Well, the most powerful factory 351 Cleveland, I know the Australian guy's Dean, if he's here, he's going to yell at me. But the one for America was the Boss 351. And I ran one of those with headers and probably a better carburetor than the Autolite carburetor that was originally on there. And I ran one and it made like 385 horsepower or so. To put that into perspective, run the same way, a 5.7 LS1 makes more power than that, or makes about that power. So just a stock LS1 makes that kind of power. Today I finally finished my 95 Bronco 408 stroker turbo 400. Nice. That should be fun. What gears do you have in it? Just went out and looked at my fan shroud because I forgot I wrote it on the paint marker on the firing order. It is a 137 firing order. Okay. Sprint car episode of Faster with Newburn. The sprint car had a Toyota 166 cubic inch inline 4, was NA, and it made 400 horsepower, had 15 to 1. 166 inches. So that's, what is that, 2.5 liters or something? Oh, that's bigger than that, 2.7. Okay, so it's some kind of race motor. Yeah, I would think that that's possible. They do numbers like that with a lot of the B series and K series stuff. The mystery motor is a 425 Buick. Any Buick would be kind of cool. Edelbrock 4-barrel intake for the 2V. Okay, big block Chevy rockers, crane studs, low tension oil rings. Cool. How much horsepower can a 5.3 stock bottom end hold before you have to replace internals with aftermarket parts? You need to go look up on my channel the Big Bang stuff. So we've done 1,300 on a 5.3, and I'm certain that it would go way beyond that. So the stock crank block rods and pistons, all we do is put ring gap in it. The stock bottom end will hold lots of power. It had like 70 or 80 runs over 1,000 horsepower. So it will take more power than you probably want to make. Is the mystery motor an Iron Duke? Also would be cool. My phone just lost connection. Did you mention the winning number? No, I didn't, but I do have to mention the winning number before we go. The winning number is 39. I'm glad somebody reminded me. James Holbrook, you are the winner. So again, I'll put my email down here. So somebody, James, send me, there's my email. Send me an email and give me your shipping address, and I'll send you out a shirt. Tell me the size and the color that you want. Would you recommend head gasket and lifter change on my LM7 with 169,000 miles? Runs perfectly fine. No, I wouldn't do that at all. Mine has 350, so you're only halfway there. Like the dog on the Duke. Yeah, I would like to run an Iron Duke. I just want to run an Iron Duke under boost. Mystery Models, an Oldsmobile diesel engine converted to gas. Also cool. There are so many cool, like I'd like to run a rotary. I just want a little 12A or something. Rob, Dom, are you listening? Come on. Hook me up. I wore a Bigfoot shirt. I mean, come on. Yeah, I'd like to run a little 4-barrel 12A engine and then, run a turbo. Gary ran a 460 with a 67 Falcon with a 224, 230 at 50. Shock towers were inverted to fit the exhaust. Subframe connectors still was not too much motor. What plug wires are you running on LS forward-facing headers? Well, there are two answers to that. One is we made our own wires that go underneath them. We made longer wires on some of the eBay ones. But Holley has since come out with forward-facing tubular stainless headers that are duplicates. And they obviously listened to me complaining the whole time in all my videos that somebody needed to make a good version of this. And Holley did. Holley or Hooker, whoever it is, same company. They made versions that were like that don't have plug wire problems. And then you could just run stock length and style plug wires on them if you get the right headers. Otherwise, you're at the mercy of them burning plug wires because they're not very good. Mazda REPU engine would be cool. 700 Holley, the combo just worked too well for street back in the day. My brother wrecked 2 cars. Mystery motor is a 267 Chevy with a 283 crank to make it 231 V8. Also would be cool. The mystery motor right now is all stock. An old Vega 4-cylinder. A Cosworth Vega would be kind of awesome, right? Did David Visor ever finish the head? Yeah, I have the 2.2 head. It hasn't been run on anything, but I have it. Try something, a rotary and a midget. Yeah, a Spridget. Or a Bug-Eyed Sprite was the one that I always kind of wanted. A Buick Rover V8, also cool. A guy in our car club put a 371 on the 12A. That would be awesome. And I do like RX3s. I think that those are awesome. I have 8.1 videos up. I have an 8.1 motor, so I've run a turbo on it. We've done a cam stuff on it. We did an intake manifold on it. So those videos are up. I want to run an 8.1 with more boost. Because we made a lot of torque. We made endless amounts of torque. Supercharger. I never ran a supercharger on it. We ran a turbo on it. The Cosworth is insanity to work on. I've seen some of those up close in the Vegas, like at car shows and stuff, and I think that they're awesome. But I don't think I've ever seen one of the motors like outside. And I can't remember. Westech has run some of the Jay Leno stuff, but I don't remember them running a Cosworth. They ran a couple of. Jay had a like a Lotus Elan or something, I think that he had, and the guy who does all of his cars brought the little Lotus motor over one time, but I don't think we ran a Cosworth Vega motor. Any general rules or formulas to use when picking valve springs for boost, say 10 psi? No, more than likely the upgraded springs that you would put on a cam install are going to also work for boost. There are very few GM engines ever built with true high-performance valve springs. Only Pontiac V8 stock was 59 to 61. So, do they change the valve springs on the Super Duty stuff? What about on an L88 or an L89 or a Z01? What about any of those? Are you going to LS Fest East? I don't know. ProCharge 8.1. I don't. Like I said, we have boost on the motor already. A ProCharger just does a different kind of boost curve. Australia had some cool Cosworth powered stuff. I always wanted one of the Cosworth Sierra. I think is they were in Europe, but not in the United States. One of those would be cool. I just think it's cool. I like the Mercure XR4 TIs, and I don't think did they have a Cosworth version of those? Have you ever ran an LT5? No, Westech has one, but we've never run it on the engine dyno. I'm emailed over the HHO website, can handle boost. More interested in the longevity of the motor, more than 35% fuel improvement. A 35% fuel improvement would be nice. My buddy watching with me wants to know what's the most horsepower you've ever had with a Mark V big block under boost. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. I don't ever remember. I don't know if we ran a Mark V with turbos on it. I know we've run a few of those with blowers on them, but I don't know how high how far we turned them up. So What was our turbo stuff? That was a Gen 6. So this Demon motor was a boosted one where we couldn't really control. Oh yeah, that was only like 800 horsepower. We couldn't really control the boost on that one. .54, so no turbo stuff, but let's see. Let's see about the supercharged stuff. I think around 1,000 on the Gen 5 stuff. I was talking Pontiac only. Okay. Yes, on the Corvette engines. Okay. What piston would you recommend for a 454 L81? 454 or 781 heads, 545 lift, 230. Well, your piston choice is going to be determined by what you're trying to do with it and what kind of compression you want to make. What kind of fuel are you going to run in and stuff? When I build a 454 or 496, usually I use a small dome piston, which is like an 18 to 22 cc thing with valve relief in it, so that we can put some camshaft in it. A 230 cam doesn't need much of a valve relief. You probably get away with a no valve relief piston in it. But I would like on a 454 for the compression, if it's an NA motor, if it's not, we would just put better fuel in it for boost. I would want it to be, high 9s or low 10s or something. On live version, you can only type 3 to 4 lines and you're out of room. Okay. One video was around 1,000. Yeah, I thought on the Gen 5 stuff that around 1,000 we did on a 496. LS6.2 carb versus throttle body fuel injection horsepower difference on the same Holley dual plane. You can take a look. I have a 6-liter deal up there. That gives you an idea. And if you're talking about a throttle body fuel injection mounted on top of the carburetor, I don't think you're going to see a difference. The difference between those two would come down to more about how you'd be able to tune it. I don't think you'd see too much. I think the guys from Engine Masters really had to look to try to find any difference. But there would be between those and port injection. Deep black hybrid ticket pistons are popular again because people are tight on money. $3,500 to $5,000 a set for pistons? Why would pistons be that much? Have you ever thought of doing a video going step by step? There should be step by step tuning videos out there already. That because I'm not a tuner, so the only thing I could show you, and I have shown you a little bit of that in some of the videos. I just showed you what happens when we make changes. So here's what happens when we run 10 to 1, 11 to 1, 12 to 1, 13 to 1. Here's what happens when we run 20 degrees of timing, 22, 24, 26, 28, whatever, and showed you what happens there. But there are people that are professional tuners, and I'm not that guy. Have you tried out Holley's new LS pulley setup, claiming 20 horsepower? I'm not familiar with that. I don't know. How are you going to gain power from pulleys? Is it Is it an underdrive pulley? We got 1 more minute. So James Holbrook, make sure you send me an email as the winner of the T-shirt. The winner of the fancy wrong cam T-shirt. James, make sure to send me your size and your color preference. Hopefully I have the combination of those two things that you want. I don't think it broke 1,000 horsepower. No, I think it was in the high 900s, but that was just that we could have done that. I mean, we could have added more boost to it or whatever. My cousin used a mail-in tuner. It worked out great. Yeah, there are guys that have done, if a guy has been a tuner and been doing it a long time and has done lots of combinations, and you send him a combination that's like other stuff that he's done, it's pretty easy, When we when I do tuning, we start off with, I'm doing an LS. I start off with a file that I've used before because there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. I start off with something that had that injector size primarily is the best thing. And then it's just minor things after that. Even if it has a bigger camshaft in it or different intake or different heads or whatever, it's like, we just load into it and go, oh yeah, it's making less here or making more here. I mean, the change to the airfield curve tells you immediately whether it's making more or less horsepower than whatever was there before it. Because if it gets rich, it's making less horsepower. If it gets lean, it's making more horsepower, and it wants more fuel. And then when you add the more fuel, then it does the thing that it's supposed to do. So adjusting that is really easy. Like I said, when I do tuning at wide open throttle, it's a couple of pulls. It's not hard to get all of it really, really quickly. PCM of North Carolina does email tunes if you have your own OBD2 plug setup, or you can send them your ECU. Should I offer a cam and springs upgrade? We're going to end the poll. And most people saying yes, Richard, get some springs. I bought an unlocked ECM with a small tune. It goes to 50 degrees to 1700. That's probably more than you'd want unless it's under cruise. And on that note, it is time to go. I've already been here late. So congratulations on the winner. Thank you guys all for supporting the channel. I'll try to keep helping you guys out with more giveaways and stuff because, Bigfoot's watching.